And that. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop for June 17th, 2017. I hope everybody's having a great day today. You may see... Oh, I'm not showing up. I remember why. I have to be quiet on Skype. Let me turn myself off and then on again. That should work. There I go. Now I'm on the stream. And everybody's messed up on Skype. Oh god. Okay. I will continue to intro us while we fix this. I forget things. Don't mind me. I'm, my forgetfulness. God. So welcome to Discussing Tabletop for June 17th. It's just me this week and no Joe. I don't have him here to bother me and make sure I'm not going to do something stupid. So, hey, guess what? We'll have a few mistakes in here, but I'll fix it. But I do have a couple of guests with me to lead me because guess what? It was GP Vegas and announcement week for Magic, so insane amount of Magic things going on. Just a little bit of role-playing news, role-play games. No big board games to talk about, but we'll handle everything. Okay, the stream looks relatively good. It's good enough. It's good enough. I fixed it. Boom! Boom, boom, boom. All right. So I hope everybody's having a great day. So, big topics this week I want to handle for Magic. We'll start with, of course, I do want to talk about the new ban that was announced this week of Aetherworks Marvel. Is I'm getting correctly there?
Yes, yep, that's correct.
Okay. Because that's a big thing in Standard, and we want to talk about that. I want to talk about the I guess, I don't really know if they should call them spoilers, because spoilers feels like, they're showing up. It's more like they're showing off pictures of stuff. Magic has been for hours of Devastation. Then I do want to talk about the actual spoilers for Ixalan, because apparently that was the thing. Like most of the like a big chunk of the cards in the set got spoiled like way ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of the Magic the Gathering news that's come out this week of all the big announcements and what we're thinking about these big announcements, because it's been insane. Just a little bit. And I want to finish up with talking about Midland Chronicles, a new fantasy RPG system that's Tolkien meets Lovecraft. So that's an interesting combination. All right, but why don't we start with, of course, and of course, well, let me introduce basically my guests, Jay and Jordan. You guys can kind of pimp yourselves out at the end of the episode. Jordan might have to leave early, and we'll have him pimp himself out if he has to then.
I'll go get my cane, shall I?
You won't need to right now. You'll be okay. All right. So, Aetherworks Marvel got banned. What you two are know more about Standard than I do, as I've adamantly confessed to everyone, more legacy/vintage player, maybe a little bit of Commander. I am
Admittedly, I love me some Legacy too.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a Legacy deck. I enjoy playing Legacy. It's a very fun format, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Legacy.
See, but I've designed all my decks to be both Legacy, because I just want to design them after all the cards, and then I go multiplayer all the time because I have a focus, because I'm always playing with a lot of other people. So all my decks tend to be a little slow, but if you don't be careful, bam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as Aetherworks Marvel goes, if you happen to see the announcement article that came out at the time of the ban, they actually went over. They gave us a table, which, as a nerd, I certainly appreciate. Math nerd. Hey there. Oh, by the way, before I move on too much, if you see a little girl running around or jumping around or bouncing around, that is Evangeline. That is T1 Stoneforge Mystic over here, and she is about to take a nap. She's getting sleepy, baby. They actually went over the numbers for win rates on Magic Online for various decks versus specifically Teamer Marvel, which I think was the one that was putting up the best results. There were, of course, other builds.
Yeah, Teamer Marvel's been hitting it hard, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so it wasn't the case that they were just outright, that the deck was blowing out everyone like, say, Treasure Cruise did in Modern when it was around, or Smuggler's Copter was. But the Frank Karsten bit, about 9.4% of the time they get an Ulamog on turn 4. That's unacceptable in today's modern. You know, when you put it in that I said today's modern. Today's
it's
standard.
all right. I was about to correct you. Standard.
Modern on the brain. No, it's okay. You can shout me out. You can correct me if I mess up. I'm a little distracted after all.
Yeah.
It's also the case though that they've been banning cards so frequently lately. The last time that we had a standard ban prior to this batch was Jace the Mind Sculptor and Stoneforge Mystic. If that gives you an idea of the level it took for them to get there, and then here they've done them so frequently.
Yeah, because that was
I don't know
how many years ago was that? That was the first Zendikar block. That was
that was Scars block actually, because it took Batter
Scars,
sort of break him. They were fine when I say fine. They were fine when they didn't have those tools, and Bloodbraid Elf and Elspeth were sort of holding Jace in check a little bit. But it's also the case that Teamer Marvel deck had Teamer Energy it could fall back on. They put that in the article as well. Without that, I don't know that they would have banned it, to be honest. Just because it didn't cross the line by that much. And again, they've done so many bans. If in standard or any rotating format you ban cards all the time, you're going to undermine confidence in your product. People aren't going to want to invest if they think that the next day, they're going to lose their deck.
Yeah.
If there's an analog, maybe they'll still be okay with it. I don't know. What do you think, Jordan?
Well, I actually would approach. I mean, I'm more of a paper player. About to say I go to FNM and PTQs and various things like that, and Teamer isn't round a lot of the time. In fact, there was one guy at my store, and there's generally a good, healthy FNM of about at least 15 players, and there's only one guy who plays Aetherworks because as you say, it's the 9.4% chance of getting Ulamog turn 4. But even then, because I at the moment run Grixis Control, which is horrible. It is, and I'm not saying it isn't fun to play. It's hilarious to play, but it's horrible to verse. It is horrible to verse, and I agree it is. But, so whenever I was going up against a Marvel, if I would know I was against Teamer Energy, I would instantly be like, oh, well, I'm going to verse Marvel. Hang on, I'm not going to play turn 3, I'm going to hold up a counterspell. And of course, Lord and behold, they go, oh, Aetherworks Marvel, counter. So I always had answers to it, but I was always playing it that way. Obviously, they always like to base their data off Magic the Gathering Online, because obviously they get all their data from that, and you don't register what deck you're playing with when you go to FNM and stuff like that, which I think would actually, if you did, you would actually probably have a lot better data to see what people are really playing with as well, because obviously anyone can build whatever deck they want on Magic Online, because it's all about just clicking buttons at the end of the day, and it's very easy. Whereas if you go along to watch people play paper Magic, actually having to shuffle the cards, search through decks and various things like that, these all have the big time constraint, and you want to do it quickly. Whereas, searching through a library on Magic the Gathering Online, it pops up with the window and says, oh, here's all your options, and even labels them for you. So, but I think the main issue they had with the Marvel deck is that you can cast anything for free. There was no sort of limits on it. I think if they had a limit on it of CMC 6 or less, or or something like that, or even put more energy into it to get the spin, that would sort of justify it. If you had to pay, what is it? Because you pay 6 energy, don't you? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's 6 energy to spin it. Yeah, it's only 6 energy. So effective, if you say to me, if it was a 4-mana artifact and you had to pay 12 energy to do it, then suddenly that's a lot harder to get 12 energy by turn 4, sort of thing. Turn 5 or turn 5, maybe turn 6, definitely.
It's the Treasure Cruise problem all over again, where there's some number of delve that makes it balanced, but 7 clearly was not high enough.
Yeah. No. Treasure Cruise was a bit insane. I joined playing Magic when at the end of Khan's block and learning Delve, and I was like, you do what now? I have to exile cards from my graveyard and I get to draw? What? This is insane. But yeah, so I think the problem with the Aetherworks Marvel is that yes, okay, getting free spells, fine. If you're not going to limit it, then make the cost worse. So make it, either increase the CMC of it. So if they made it 6 mana, probably would have been sort of justifiable, or even increase the energy costs to suddenly justify having an Ulamog out turn 4. If they've had to pay 12 energy and get 12 energy by turn 4, which I would be impressed by, and I'm pretty sure all of us, it would be very hard to get 12 energy by turn 4 to do it, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I think it was a bit, but me and the lads in Oak's Head, we were a bit shocked by it because we were like, well, I think they're banning it in precaution for when Nicobolus comes out.
Yeah.
Because the new Nicobolus is quite insane, especially as he can get Nicobolus out and then start plussing him to play your opponent's cards with his new +1 effect, +3 or +4, whatever it is effect.
2, I think.
Is it 2?
Whatever it is, yeah.
The second they start putting 4 activations on players, well, I just forget which ones are which.
Yeah.
So that's my sort of take on it. I think that they kind of messed up the card, but then again, this is why they've done that new play design post at Wizards now to sort of out all these ideas in development. So you've got professional players on the team, Datora, who is a modern player, who is a standard player, and can probably build a very competitive deck and see how things work.
Yeah.
Sweet.
If I can play MTG Historian for just a quick second here.
Sure.
Way back in the day, there was an old card called Dingus Egg. Do any of you happen to know what Dingus Egg
I love
does?
Dingus Egg. Yes.
Dingus Egg, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it sees some EDH play every now and then, just when people are trying to, have fun, right?
It's fringe playable in modern.
So the Dingus Egg does this thing where I think it's whenever a land enters the graveyard for a player, it deals 2. Dingus Egg deals 2.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when that card was banned in Magic, if you can believe it, way back in the day. The problem, though, was, yes, believe it or not, that was the thing. That was the thing. There's a card called Balance, which is banned in basically everything. That was the problem. People were playing Balance and making the opponent lose all their lands, and then they would take damage from Dingus Egg. They banned Dingus Egg instead of banning Balance at the time, and someone else found another enabler or found another way to break it, and so on, until eventually they banned Balance. Marvel sort of worked the same way. When they first banned Emrakul, I thought, well, it was a little different with Emrakul because it wasn't just Marvel, it was also Deliria that was using it. The traverse for your 1 Emrakul.
Yeah.
But as far as Marvel was concerned, you could just replace Emrakul with Ulamog, or whenever another powerful planeswalker comes out, a Johnny, or whatever the case may be. In this case, Bolas, I guess we're about to get.
Yeah.
You weren't banning the enabler, you were just banning the thing that made it...
Yeah, you're banning the win con, which is not the point, Yeah.
And unless you ban all these powerful win cons on the way down and make your format really weak just to keep Marvel from being broken, you have to just ban Marvel.
Yeah. To be fair, one of the lads were like, "Why aren't they banning Ulamog?" And I said, "Because the ban Ulamog, everyone puts Kozilek in. It's and suddenly they're going to counter all your stuff with a full hand of cards. It's the same thing. So
So like the thing is, like, Aetherwork Marvel was like the only reason I think my Legacy Artifact deck will have energy in it. Is the truthfully speaking. It's because I could see that, and it's a good way of creating energy on its own, and it's got effect. But the fact is, like, when I look, like, in Standard I can understand it, that it's a big enabler for easily getting very quick wins, which is definitely something that they worry about, because, I mean, they worry about. But, like, my, like, look at it is, like, again, I understand it, but, again, it's sort of like, okay, gotcha. Just because I don't play Standard, I don't experience, and I've heard a lot of tales about, like, the interesting things that have happened in Standard. But yes, you're right that they have had a lot of bans in it lately, too, and you were right about needing the spot of someone to, like, catch these beforehand, because this is just like,
it's kind of like, it's one of these things of, I mean, it is just too powerful an artifact. I mean, I think if it's a 4 mana, it's too good.
Yeah.
I mean, even 5 is still too good. I think maybe sort of 6+.
Yeah, I would say maybe like 6
somewhere
or 7.
around there.
Because it's like
6 or 7. I don't think it would be as powerful because
like,
suddenly they're gonna have to build into it and ramp into it and various things like that to get to it, and so it's a bit more hard work for them.
Because like I like using Planar Portal in some of my legacy decks occasionally. Yes. Because if you get enough mana, it doesn't matter. You can just use it and play the same thing. You know, a little bit of mana ramp and Planar Portal.
Yeah, no, I will agree, but I don't like that card.
Well, I don't use it in everyone. Sometimes it's Sentinel Flute because, you know, creatures.
To be fair, one of our lads
crazy over here. She thinks you're nuts.
one of our lads opened the Masterpiece version in sealed and put it in his deck, and I actually found out afterwards. And I said, "Take it out of the damn deck." put any other card. Again, he realised that he was losing games because of it, so he did do it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
No, it is a commander staple only. It belongs nowhere else.
But I only use one anyway. I'm very bad at play sets and rarely use them in any of my decks, you know, just because I like too many different cards, you know, it's just me. I'm weird that
greedy.
way.
That's what it's greedy.
Yeah, I'm greedy. So I only use the choice playsets, and everything else I just have ways of getting. Ways around it. Variety. Spice of life. Anyway, but no, Planar Portal makes me think of, like, comparing it to the same way. Because though Planar Portal is very powerful, it is 6 mana and 6 mana to use it. So it is a much more late game kind of thing.
It's 8 mana to use it.
Yeah, 8.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking not the one
Oh,
from...
sorry, playing the bridge. I'm thinking of playing the bridge.
You're playing bridge. You're thinking Planar Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
but,
apologies.
like, Planar Bridge, I really would like that too. Oh my god, no. That's the
This whole time I've been thinking bridge.
Yeah, same, man. I'm on bridge as well.
No, I'm talking about the one that was below it, Planar Portal, the classic one.
No.
Planar Bridge. If I could get Planar Bridge to replace it, but no, I'm not planning on that anytime soon because they're costly, you know? Besides the fact that I don't think it would work in all of my decks anyway, because some of them are mixtures of, you know, spells and permanents, so it's got to be like... It comes up in certain places. But no, without going into Planar Bridge. But no, I was comparing it more to, like, the Planar Portal, because it cost you 6 and 6, and that's the classic one I think of when I see it a little bit. But it feels like, yes, definitely a much bigger step up. Like, yeah, Planar Bridge... It's 2 mana more to basically search and put in, and instead of any card, it's a permanent. So, I mean, Planar Bridge to Planar Portal, maybe that's okay, but then, like, Aetherworks is, like, on a whole different level a little bit, too. It's just different.
To expand on that just a minute more, if you consider Marvel to be one of a class of cards that basically reads, if this fully resolves, you win the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you consider it that kind of card, Sneak Attack, Show and Tell, Hypergenesis, Restore Balance. If you count it as one of those cards, then the way that you cost it should be indicative of you winning the game. Planar Bridge is an example, I think, where that succeeded, where if you cast it and if you activate its ability and if it resolves, you should win the game, and it's costed as such. Maybe not in Standard, but in basically every other format. I don't think they did that quite well enough with Marvel. You don't necessarily have to make the mana cost higher. You could make the energy cost higher, which makes sense when you're pushing an energy set. But one of the two or both needed to be higher. And maybe when they tested it, you know, before they printed it, maybe they thought they had it well enough, but then they did the same thing with Treasure Cruise. Erring on the side of caution might make a card weak enough that you don't sell it, but pushing it does what we have now.
Well, actually, an expansion on that, the point you just made. If you look at Lightning Runner, the 5 mana double strike creature that gives you an extra combat step, that requires 8 energy.
Yep.
And Gonti's Etherheart requires 8 energy to get an extra turn. So
they
should have at least they should have
right?
Yeah, they should have So and the Lightning Runner doesn't, but the Gonti's Etherheart does.
Yeah.
So they should have been that sort of at least 8 mana minimum, and a drawback of it doesn't untap or something for 1 turn, so you don't get equal repeatability in it. But yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we move on, because we could talk about this for quite a while. Why don't we talk about the...
There'll be another hour on this, don't worry. Yeah, let's skip.
Let's move on to the Hours of Devastation, the new spoilers we saw, because a whole lot came out yesterday. I mean, it was like...
I'm actually pulling that up right now. I'm working on it.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I was just sitting there, and it was like, something new, something new, something new, something new. I'm like, what? It's like, it just kept coming out. And, okay. So, things I've noticed here, I like that they're doing some more deserts. I liked Classic Desert, and they're giving a feel for it, which is cool for bringing it back. I think I still...
Camel, though.
I know! Where's my
what was
camel?
The Arabian Night?
Yeah, or desert nomads who have a desert walk, Huh? How about that?
Well, I guess it's the word walk that'll do it. They aren't really... That's what, like a 9 on the storm scale?
Oh my god, yeah. It's like, it's just, we're never gonna see Landwalk again. Nope, sorry.
Oh.
No, they never will. Definitely never will.
It's just one of those things. But we did see both the Planeswalker deck Planeswalkers. We had seen Nicol Bolas the Deceiver. We saw that the other one's Nissa, which is kind of unusual, because up until now, all the Planeswalkers decks had a copy of the Planeswalker in the deck, or in the set, and then one in the deck. Which, I don't think they would do 2 Nissas in a row. It's like, that's kind of unusual. I guess because they've already had her, maybe that's why they're using her for the Planeswalker deck. But
I think they maybe should have done Samus, possibly, as a,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you guys go for just a little while, if that's okay. I'll be back in just a minute.
Okay.
That's fine.
Right,
yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one downside I see with the see you, Jay. The one downside I see with the Planeswalker ones is the Nissa Genesis one seems actually quite decent. I mean, apart from it's 7 mana, but it's gonna have a tutor spell in there as well, and as well as some cards that interact if you have a Nissa Planeswalker, which at this moment we're gonna have quite a few of those. So there might actually be a jank deck around that, funnily enough, which would be interesting. But the one issue I have is that the Nicol Bolas, the Deceiver one, is only 5 loyalty for 8, because this makes the Dark Intimations from Aether Revolt. Yeah, Aether Revolt. It's useless. I mean, it's kind of like you want to ideally have 4 of them in the bin. You play Bolas and you can ultimate him ideally. The turn that he comes in, because you've done all the hard work getting them into the bin.
Yeah.
But so I was, when they initially spoiled the main set one, I was like, oh, right, well, you can't do it with that. That's a bit disappointing. But then, obviously, they announced the Planeswalker deck one, and I thought, sweet, hopefully that one is. But
it's technically worse, because you have to go up 6 for that one, and you only had to go up 5 for the God Pharaoh. So it's like...
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so it's like, well, okay. I mean, just as a Planeswalker, I do like the Deceiver anyway. He's pretty good. It's not bad.
It's quite decent. It's not bad.
Yeah, and I did like the God Pharaoh when they showed him. I mean, they usually
the God Pharaoh's a bit insane. What he's got going on.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, he's more on the insane side. I definitely agree with that one. But
I just like how they're all getting 4 abilities now. So it's Jason Mind Sculptor, Chandra Torture Defiance, and now Nicol Bolas the God Pharaoh are all on 4 activated abilities. It's insane.
And I think I'm waiting for Gideon to get his 4th, because he's not powerful enough.
No more Gideons. I'm sick of Gideon.
I think the cards from this that I want to really talk about that we've shown them are the defeat cards, the new god, and the excavator. I think those are the ones that I really want to kind of discuss here. So why don't we start with the defeat ones though? Because these are very interesting, because it's like they have an effect, and then they have a specific Planeswalker which you get a bonus effect to, which I mean, it's like, it's interesting, but it's also so very oddly specific a little bit too.
Let's be honest, all the defeat cards are they're all sideboard cards at the end of it. For me, at the end of the in any format, I can't. I mean, the Gideon's Defeat one's a great card. It is, exile target white creature that's attacking or blocking for 1 mana.
Mm-hmm.
It's, path to exile without any without ramping your opponent. Fantastic. But it only hits white creatures. That's the downfall of it. It drives you up the wall.
Yeah, it's they target their own colors. I mean,
yeah,
that's the only thing about them that makes them not really as good.
Yeah, I mean, if they targeted enemy colors, it would you could maybe see them in main board, but it's kind of, it's like, it kind of just doesn't work. But I think that I do quite like that you're getting an ability off them quite nicely with, so if you use Gideon's Defeat on a Gideon, you're going to get life. Same, if you counter a Jace, you're going to get to scry 2. Fantastic. It's Liliana's is what's Liliana? Drain? Yeah, you drain your opponent.
Drain your opponent.
Chandra's deal damage.
No, Chandra's you discard a card and can draw one.
Oh right, yeah.
I mean, I don't mind that when they specifically have you discard a card first and then draw one. I don't mind that as much as like it used to be like. You draw a card and discard one at random with red. Now it's like I can get rid of one from my hand, get a replacement. I feel that's a little better, so that's not terrible. But the green one, again, that's just draw a card, but it's more expensive.
I mean, to be fair, I look at the Nissa's Defeat one in terms of modern, and there are quite lots of green strategies in modern that are using ramp for. And they're all obviously pretty much all green ramps, but are all green ramps enchantments. So that possibly can see play, possibly, but it's a bit of a.
The gainsay the Jace one. Hear me now, quote me later. If Vintage is really as blue as it is, watch that see a teeny tiny bit of Vintage play because it counters. Most decks, and if you counter a Mind Sculptor, not Bryn's Prodigy though, sadly, does it have to be a Jace Planeswalker?
A Jace Planeswalker.
Yeah, it has to be a Jace Planeswalker.
It won't work on Bryn's Prodigy, but if you counter a Mind Sculptor, you get to scry 2. There are a few Mind Sculptors out there in Vintage. I'm gonna try it. I don't know that it'll see very much, but there's that type game.
I know.
Doesn't hit Baby Jace like from Magic Origins, Vryn's Prodigy. If you counter him, you don't get the scry.
Yeah, and it's really only Mind Sculptor and Vryn's Prodigy that see Vintage anyway. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm hoping against hope, but I want it to work.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about Runap Excavator?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's Crucible of Worlds.
Crucible of Worlds on a stick. Yes.
Yeah.
The Gitrog monster's gonna come back.
I mean, I like Crucible of Worlds. I don't play with it a lot because I only have like a single deck that actually would help it because I can sacrifice lands in there, but or like have lands go to the graveyard a lot. But other than that, I mean, it's interesting.
I mean, to be fair, obviously it dies to Lightning Bolt in terms of modern standards, but then again, it's the same CMC, and it's not that bad.
No.
In standard, we've only got Evolving Wilds, but you've got all the cycling lands, so theoretically you could cycle, and then play the land the next turn.
Or even the same turn, you could like cycle it and then put it back into play too.
Yeah. There's that as well. Yeah, there's lots of lots of good options on it.
Sorry about that. We also still have Worldbreaker in standard right now, and sacking a land is part of its recursion ability. So you can do that even if you don't have Drownyard Temple. That's one way to do it.
Drownyard Temple's the classic one. Yeah.
So Sanctum of Ugin, for instance, if you want to loop World Breakers, that's
yes.
Yeah.
To be fair, you see that in a lot of the Metalwork Colossus decks, is that you sack Sanctum of Ugins, go find more of them, and get them onto the field as quick as possible. So suddenly having the Excavator, even if you've only got one on the field, at least you've got recursion with it, which is sweet. Sort of thing. But yeah, definitely, it is I think it's a great card.
Yeah, so it's a very interesting card, and definitely, I always do like creature versions of like artifacts and enchantments occasionally, because I feel like it adds a different level. Usually they're like a little cheaper because it's easier to kill a creature. Usually. So, I do like them, at least. All right, and the last...
Sorry, no, go on.
Go ahead. I was going to move on, but if you have something else to say, go ahead.
just one little flavor bit. So this card is in Hour of Devastation, which is Amonkhet, which is ancient Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
The Gitrog monster is a fraud. So the Hour of Devastation, it's the plague of frauds. I'm calling it.
Wow.
Well, we got the Locust God turning up at some point as well. So yeah, so we just can't have all the plagues. There you go, job done.
Alright.
Wow.
Now that I've got that off my chest, we can move on.
I was going to talk about the Scorpion God.
I like the Scorpion God. I mean, oh my god, the fact is that you get recursion from it when it dies. So effectively you can legend rule it, and you're going to get it at the end step as well, back in hand.
Yeah.
So you can just swing with a 6/5, legend rule it. I get the one that's just died back into my hand.
And I like
Yes,
it because it's unique. Because if I didn't notice it until just earlier today, it's not indestructible too. It's made to die and come back over and over again.
Yeah, I think this is because they're going to release the 3 gods who die in. I'm a big fluff bunny in terms of lore. And in the stories, when Bolus first turned up, he killed 3 of the gods. There was 8 gods originally, and he killed 3 of them, but kept their bodies for purposes. So I think these are the purposes. Sort of. So they've probably been roaming the waste, I assume, or something daft like that.
Or like in the underworld, or like where he's got his army of the undead, you know. Because I do want to see more of what the story's going to happen to, because I love the lore also. Yeah. So, but no, this is definitely a very interesting take on one of the gods. Because, yeah, it's, you put specifically -1/-1 counters on things. When they die, you draw a card, and you just keep getting them back, too. And...
Yeah. Well, this and Soulscar Mage are like best friends. You know, casting, I forget, was it Blazing Volley on your opponent's creatures? Sort of, mass board wiping.
Yeah.
So you can also, if you want to run this as a commander, Undying, just the mechanic Undying. So you put a -1/-1 counter on it to start, and when it dies later on, it'll come back with a +1/+1 counter, and you draw a card because it died with a -1/-1. So then if you put 2 more -1/-1 counters, you can just loop this with Undying indefinitely, as long as you have the mana for it. And I know that's the trick, having the mana, but this is EDH. This is a dinosaur laser fight. We can do what we want.
Yeah.
Given enough time.
No. In EDH is going to be sweet. Especially, as you say, with Undying mechanic and just getting constant card draw and usefulness out of that sort of thing. That would definitely be sweet.
Yeah, I can definitely see its uses even like in like an interesting legacy deck with just, because there's plenty of ways in legacies to put -1/-1 counters, and just, I doubt I would play with it, but I always like mentioning, for Legends Mirror Gallery, because, I have a Legends deck where I've made to double all my triple and like Rite of Replication my Legends, so of course I got Mirror Gallery. I mean, come on.
Yeah, nothing wrong with Mirror Gallery. It's a sweet card.
Don't we want like 6 legendary 6/6 dragons coming at someone all of a sudden?
Oh.
And that's why it's so fun to brew with. Absolutely.
But no, I think this one even adds to that too, because it's just such an interesting. I like it, definitely for its mechanics. Because I don't feel it's too expensive, or like too cheap or too expensive. It's right in that zone of like the mana cost. For like 3, and you got all like black and red in it, and its cost isn't bad too. So, I like the Scorpion God.
5 mana 6/5, sweet.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll take that body all day, even without benefits. It's sweet.
Yeah, definitely. All right, why don't we though?
Context.
Okay.
Sorry, I do.
Yeah. Why don't we move on though? Oh no, there's one more line I do want to mention. Hour of Revelation. The destroy all non-land permanents. That if there are 10 or more non-land permanents, it only costs you 3 white.
You mean the new super bomb spell for white? Yeah.
Yeah.
They brought back a 3 mana wrath. I don't care. It's a 6 CMC cost. It's not
3 mana wrath.
I like the Bantu's Last Reckoning.
Yeah.
I feel at least that was a little balanced, because it's like, if you wanted to reset yourself for the next turn, you had to have tapped out all your land anyway and put out something along with it, and then you might have an advantage over your opponent, but you don't untap your lands otherwise. I felt like that at least helped a little bit to balance things. Granted, there's always creatures and artifacts that can produce you some mana too if you combo the deck right. but it still slowed you down that I felt it didn't overwhelm it too much. This one, it's just cheap.
I mean, this one, well, to be fair, with the Hour of Revelation, the fact is it says all non-land. Because the problem is with the moment in Standard is that if you do board wipes, such as your Henny's Expertise and all these other things, and you get rid of all the creatures, like for Mardu vehicles, for example, the vehicles are still there. They're still a problem. Mm-hmm. This deals with the entire board. So, and right, you're going to lose your stuff as well, but, you know, at least then you don't have to worry about them putting down a creature to crew the Heart of Kiran and swinging for lethal, sort of thing. It's,
And you can always plan for it, too. If you get it in your hand, you're like, well, I'll wait a couple of turns, you know, get a couple things I can play afterwards, you know?
But this also works massively in EDH as well. I mean, in EDH, I mean, if you're playing, what, four-person commander game, you have to have, 2-3 permanents, you know, each, and this is active then, from then. So in EDH, this is a super sweet RAF for that, you know, but, it's going to be horrid. It's going to be interesting to see how it affects Modern. I don't know if it's a bit too slow for Modern or not.
I'm afraid in today's meta, it probably is. It almost certainly is. And the kinds of decks, especially in Modern, that can stall the board for long enough to be able to cast it, are the kinds of decks that have stalled the board not with counter spells or with spot removal. Because if you run for one,
pillow forting,
it's the decks with prison pieces. Like Ensnaring Bridge or Ghostly Prison or that sort of thing. And this destroys those. So once you've destroyed the prison pieces, now the floodgates are open again. So it may not work so well in Modern.
Yeah, but definitely for Standard against Mono Black Zombies, this is, and Mardu vehicles, this is horrific, sort of, against those decks, which do play a lot of permanents.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
So why don't we move on, though? I want to talk a little bit about the leaks. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I had on the show, we talked a little bit about the Commander 2017, the Dragon spoilers. I mean, that was an actual leak. They weren't trying to spoil those, but I felt like that wasn't like, oh my god, you know, it's like, okay, someone's showing off a couple of the rares and legends from it, you know, those are cool. You know, we get to see the tokens. I felt like it was a little more actual spoiler to things more than what Magic does, but this is like an entirely different level. Like,
to be fair, I don't like seeing Ixalan yet. I want to get hyped up for hours myself at the moment.
Yeah, it's too far ahead for one thing because we haven't even gotten the current set out, and it's like an entire like sheet too. It's like someone got one of the sheets and took a picture of it and shared it. You know, we don't even, and the thing about this is, are they far enough ahead that is this the actual final sheet, or is this like a test print or something?
Probably is the final. The way that they do these, they have sets plans.
Far enough
unless something happens and changes it. Because remember how long they have to print these things in advance to have enough stock to ship to the entire world, yada, yada.
See, that's what I was unsure of exactly about the exact timing of it, because it is quite a while ahead, though, too, you know? So it has to be one of the initial printings, regardless, at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, this is definitely someone got through security, someone got through stuff. I can't blame... I agree with... I forget who said it on Twitter, I was talking about it, but they were like... They found that it was like... We can't blame the person that's sharing that this exists. We should really blame the person that, you know, actually got this, or maybe even Wizards for like letting it happen.
There was a big argument. Actually, I saw this. There was a big argument on Twitter between Saffron Olive and I can't remember who else it was, and he was saying, "Why are you sharing this? You're ruining the experience for Magic." And he went, "Well, no, it's already up on public domain. People have already been sharing this. I'm just doing what everyone else is doing." But some people were targeting Seth deliberately, and lots of us were rallying, going, "No, once it's up on Reddit,
once it's up on Reddit, it's everywhere. Yeah,
it's everywhere once it's on Reddit, you know, and everyone else, you know." Sorry, no, but once it's on Reddit, it's, you know, you see all these other MTG YouTubers that they're discussing all that. I mean, I don't like to discuss leaks because they generally might not come to fruition and various things like that sort of thing. So I try to avoid leaks as much as possible. But I didn't enjoy seeing them sort of thing. But I prefer what Marrow did when he did his announcement of what Ixalan will be, sort of thing, which sort of when he described it as it's pirates versus dinosaurs. Which can we just call it to the fact of what a shame it is we're not going back to Kamigawa so we can have pirates versus ninjas, which needs to be addressed.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Pirates versus
that's a
ninjas.
subtype that needs to be addressed quite badly. Let's be honest.
God, yes. Magic. You should just do a dual deck. A Kamigawa ninja deck versus a pirate Ixalan deck. Please, Magic. You'll automatically win.
Because let's be honest, there's quite a divide. Some people go, no, pirates win. I'm ninja. I'm ninja all the way.
I'm not meaning to interrupt you. I think there's a delay. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Don't worry. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was just saying we buy the dual decks ourselves and then we'll settle it in our own lives. For the people that disagree with us.
They have the Plains Chase Ninja deck, so I'm already halfway there. Well, we just need a pirate deck from Dual Decks, and we're set.
Yep.
There we go.
No, but yeah, I mean, like these spoilers, I basically looked at the sheet, but I didn't look in detail because I'm like, eh. And the thing is, I'm sure there are good pictures where you could actually see them. But like the ones I saw, I couldn't understand a thing, and I'm like, I don't care to like try to look at this even more. Again,
yeah,
it'd be cool to look, but I don't need to know right now. Yeah.
I mean, the problem is as well that you got some people who've wrote down what they think has been written on the cards. I mean, some of them you can see clearly, some of them have a lot of text there, and all it takes is one. And let's be honest, this is Magic, and we all know the power of a full stop and a comma. That can affect how a spell resolves entirely. So, it's kind of something I'm avoiding at all costs if I can.
I will say one quick note, and if you don't want spoilers, I'm not naming a card or anything, but this will be relevant for Standard coming up. So we notice as we look through the sheet, it's allied lands that'll be printed that we see.
Yeah, the buddy lands, yeah.
Yeah,
the Dragon Skull Summit and Sun Petal Grove I saw. But
it's that. There may be not Sun Petal. That's it is a buddy land. I didn't think I was seeing Dragon Skull. I thought I was seeing the Zendikar land reprinted. The Landfolk dude. I think you're right.
Someone mentioned it was Sun Petal on like Twitter or something, because that's the only thing I picked up from it, which. I do find this is the only interesting thing I like about it that I now know ahead of time, which I actually don't mind knowing, is that it's going to be more tribal-based. Dinosaurs, pirates.
Yeah.
I like hearing that, because I like tribal, and I have a lot of I have a bunch of tribal decks, So it's like...
Yes, I'm tribal. I'm a tribal bunny myself. My legacy deck's warrior-based, which is,
I have my Zoblin deck, which is my favorite deck. Zombie goblins. Everyone loves them.
Oh no.
Drownu's Crusade, a couple conspiracies, and Mog Catchers, and I'm in business. And throw in a Ulamog from the original Zendikar set, who can show up with goblin ears and little bits of flesh hanging on top of him, and he's like, I'm totally a goblin zombie too.
Do you have that altar, or do you need that altar?
I should get an altar of that, just because the two conspiracies and, the Drownu's Crusade, it'll make him a goblin zombie too, so... And Mog Catcher, I can search for him.
Oh, God, no.
I think I've only done it once, actually, though.
But when it happened...
When it happened, it was funny. Because then it's all of a sudden, he's totally a goblin. He's got, like, it's like fake elf ears, they're just fake goblin ears.
He has this little tag that says, "Hello, my name is Zombie Goblin."
I am not an Eldrazi.
I promise I'm not an Eldrazi.
I totally won't annihilate you, destroy permanents.
I'm not even gonna try.
Man. No.
But no. I think that's also the other thing about, like, learning the commander decks that were coming out were going to be tribal, too, was cool. It's like...
Yeah.
These are the little bits of spoilers, if we get, like, beyond the cards, that I like to hear about. Like, I don't mind someone spoiling ahead of time, It's like, oh, cool, we're expecting pirate dinosaurs tribal. That sounds cool. This is stuff that makes me feel like I want to see more when it's coming out, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, at the moment we're all gearing up for ours. No one wants to know about Ixalan sort of thing. You know, apart from it's dinosaurs versus
pirates.
You know, pirates.
Yeah. We're sold on that. Dinosaurs and pirates. Hey.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we though move on? Because that's probably the best way we can say about it. Let's talk about the ridiculous series of announcements that Magic has had over the past week of what they're doing. All right. Why don't we just start with some of them down the line? So, core sets are coming back. I think I think I've actually argued on this show with, like, we discussed it, that we felt like getting rid of core sets was a terrible idea.
Core sets had a reason why they needed. I mean, they were terrible. Let's be honest. The value in them was hardly anything, but they had answers. They had answers to everything that you needed.
And the fact is, like, even if I go beyond standard, it gave Wizards a little extra time. Because the fact is, like, it's the difference between when you have, like, almost like 3.5 sets you're putting out a year instead of, like, 4. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but that is 50% more work you added in because you're not reprinting stuff in a core set, you know? And that is what they did to themselves. They added in extra work. So I expected, like, problems to occur. And look at the banning
that's occurred.
Yeah, so problems occurred because it wasn't a lot of extra work, but it was some extra work.
Yeah, to that point, whenever you have a core set, you have a way to print answers to the format that don't involve the actual story of the format itself. So, for example, if Aetherworks Marvel is going crazy, remember, I think it was M15, they reprinted Phyrexian Revoker. If they had done that again, flavorfully, it makes no sense. And it could have been Revoker or Pithing Needle or whatever, something to that effect. That gives us a reprint that people want, even if it isn't worth too much. And it answers the format a little bit. And especially Revoker, it goes in every color.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, just to echo what you were saying and then some.
Yeah. No, the core set's a really great idea to come back with. I think it's going to be good. Now, on that same respect, all big sets, no small sets, and we don't know if it's going to be a single set per storyline or up to 3. I find that interesting.
I quite like that. I think, because some worlds are, I mean, Kaladesh, I thought it went on a bit. I wasn't big. It matches the story, you know. They went all right for the story, but Aether Revolt didn't do it for me, sort of thing. I was already thinking, I want to be on Amoket now when they brought out Aether Revolt, and I was just like, so I think there's just many benefits, you know. Some worlds they could go, this is only 1 block, but this one's gonna have a really big mechanics and integration, and so we need 3. Fine, you know. But the fact is they're all big as well, so you're not going to have this draft scenario of where there's 3 in a block and you're going to get 1 of each pack. So to try and win the draft, you're going to go, hopefully I pull this in this pack, this in this pack, and this in this pack to get 3 decent rares that can do this.
Yeah. To that point, Jim Davis put out a poll on his Twitter a while back, or actually not a while back. It might have actually been in response to this, and I just didn't catch it till way later. It was, which do you prefer for a draft format? AAA, ABC, and then I think BBA was one of the other ones. AAA is my favorite. Return to Ravnica, just give me all RTR. That's all I want. Cons of Tarkir, just give me all Cons of Tarkir. As a matter of personal preference, this seems great by me. The more times that we can draft a single set. Now, that's just my opinion, man, but I like that. I'm down with that. It's my favorite way to do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it's also gonna, like, for those times when we're drafting and stuff, it's gonna give us variety anyway, because, like, yeah, sometimes you might have more than 1 set, sometimes you might just have a single. You never know what you're gonna get. Variety, spice of life. So.
Yeah. Now, I will say that, from a marketing perspective, it makes more sense for them to just do, if they're going to go this way, to make every single set, or pretty close, not literally necessarily, but pretty close to every single set, drafted as AAA.
Yeah.
And the reason is because part of, like, let's say we're talking Cons of Tarkir when Fate Reforged was out. So you drafted Khans and Fate Reforged by the time it was all said and done. If they didn't do it that way, Fate Reforged was a smaller set. They couldn't draft it on its own, but you needed to have enough Fate Reforged to sell packs, because that's how you make your money on it. It's not just people buying random boosters. It's drafted and sealed as well.
Yeah, so that's the reason why you have 2 and 1. Yeah, to sort of sell it. But
if they every month had just a single set, they'll saturate it during that time, but then they'll move on to the next one and saturate it, and so on and so forth. It gives a much shorter life cycle for how long they can sell, to a large extent, a given set for draft. But at least during that, like, when you move on to the next one, it will get all of that as well, instead of Fate Reforged getting much less by comparison.
And that's a good reason for the big sets now, too, you know, because that fits with it more.
Also, you got the benefit of, with them all doing big sets now, is that there's actually going to be more cards, so we actually win in this respect as well. So we're not just getting, oh, here's a small set and here's only 200 odd cards. We're going to get 300 now, so we're going to get more. So there's possibility of more reprints as well, as that are outside of the core sets, sort of thing, which will be sweet.
Yep. All right. Return to Dominaria. I've been waiting for this one. Dominaria is like what I grew up on. You know, I've been playing the game since Unlimited, and so like I can understand after so many like eons of years stepping away from it, because they really didn't visit other planes during those early years. We have like Arabian Nights, which is technically its own plane now in the storyline, and Homelands, which I liked certain portions of Homelands, but then like it just wasn't great cards. So it's like I liked the setting, but the cards were just crappy, and the setting wasn't super great. I like Baron Sengir. Okay,
I like Sarah, but I see where you're coming from.
I liked Baron Sengir as the idea of what he wanted to do, rather than how they implemented him in the set. You know, like a vampire stuck on a plane, trying to convert it to his own. I thought that was interesting. Trying to make a vampire army. That's just me for storyline, for my like enjoyment of that. But other than that, it's like, what else did we visit? Wrath, which was an artificial plane. Mercadia, once. Which we haven't seen Mercadia again. What the heck's going on with them since Phyrexia fell?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be quite good to see the return to these older planes, that, because some of us, like I've only come into it from Magic Origins, really. So, but I did play a bit of Khans, so I am aware of Khans, but all these older sets I'm not aware of. So going back to these older planes is great for me as a new player, because I get to experience and hear all the old stories from some of the older pros who have been playing since Unlimited and various things like that, and can go, oh yeah, last time we were here, this was the sort of the mechanic and the block and various things, and this is what was going on, and this was insane. But it also gives them Wizards a chance to go back and go, well, we didn't quite get this one right. How would we have fixed it? Because like the classic ones, Kamigawa. I mean, they've said, Mark Rosewater said, we don't think we will ever go back to Kamigawa, because flavor-wise they apparently nailed it out the park. But everyone agrees sort of the mechanics just weren't there, sort of thing. And it's like the worst selling set in Wizards history or something like that, if I remember right.
It's kind of like Dredge, in that the Dredge mechanic has not a lot. It is a relatively small group of ardent fans that love the mechanic. But then if you go outside of it, it doesn't take going far to find people that abhor it as broken or as uninteractive or that sort of thing. Kamigawa has its dedicated followers that love the flavor of it, but it just didn't resonate, I suppose.
Oh,
and like
God.
You said,
Kamigawa, as someone that I've used certain cards from it, definitely, because there are still some great cards from Kamigawa as a legacy player.
Oh yeah, there are. Yeah,
but
the Dragon Spirits are all great.
Oh yeah,
little detail here and there.
It was Azura Lost But Seeking. Oh, I love her. Okay. Play 2 extra lands a turn. Yeah, I'm down for that.
Umezawa's Jitte, fantastic card.
Yeah, but see, so there's a whole bunch of cards that are actually good in there, but the problem is there's also like incredibly weird mechanics that were like, and other stuff that were part of it that I, as someone that's like, has looked it over a lot now, yeah, I can understand why people didn't like it. Especially, the thing is, it was sandwiched in between the original Mirrodin block and the original Ravinica block, which were really good. So it's sort of like, I don't think Kamigawa's actually bad. It just is like, worse in comparison to either of those.
It had a big hype to try and beat. You know, from the original Ravnica block to that is like. Yeah. Here's the podium, by the way.
Yeah, it's like we had these podiums on either side of it, that it was sandwiched in between. Like we moved off of one high into that, so people were like, we don't like a billion legends and stuff, and then we move on to the next one, and it's like, oh, well, this is like, why don't you do this in the first place? But,
you take these two everything bagels and you put wasabi in between them, and it doesn't work.
That's really what it was. Yeah, you just put something in between it that it's like, this isn't great.
Yeah,
you know,
this doesn't taste great. No, it's not quite well.
I would have rather had all three of these things on their own, please. But no. With the Return of Dominaria, I do have hope that they can maybe, like, even if they don't do Kamigawa, because they nailed their whatever the story they wanted to tell there. That's fine, you know, I can understand that. But there are certain planes I feel like could use an upgrade from the past that I wouldn't mind revisits of, which they don't talk about. Like, again, I would kind of think you could actually come up with an interesting story. Well, Homelands would be difficult to do because we have Innistrad. Vampires replaced it, you know? That's the one I think. I don't know about Mercadian Masks either, or Mercadia. Like, after that, maybe a couple of them, like maybe like Lorwyn / Shadowmere. See what's become of them since they merged, or the Alaras.
I'm all on board if we go back to Lorwyn. I love goblins. I'm all on board. Sign me up.
Yeah, or like to see the new United Alara. That would be kind of interesting to see. Maybe something else is happening there. The thing is, like, they could come up with a weird storyline of something. They had how many apocalypses upon Dominaria over the years? It's like
for 9,000.
They try to destroy it so many different times. I would love to see
Lorwyn come back, dude. Like, if for no other reason, then wasn't it the only? No, surely not the only block or blocks, depending on how we count it, with no humans?
Yes. No, there might be another one that doesn't have humans, but I know they don't have humans at all. I think they were at least the first one that didn't have humans at all.
I can't think of any off the top of my head. There must be a block out there, but I'll have to think.
Yeah. Like, all the Dominaria ones had humans. Mirrodin and Ravinica have humans. Kamigawa had humans.
Yeah.
Alara has humans. No, I think you might be right.
I think Lorwyn might be the only one, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think, if I'm remembering correctly, all of the races that were on Lorwyn, I think all of those like, one of the reasons Innistrad works so well is that people knew what vampires and werewolves and zombies were. I think people, if you replace Miro with merfolk or mermaid, I think everyone knows all the ones on there. So goblins and fairies. Kithkin, or if you said Hobbit, people would know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, like, nowadays... yeah, well, if you look at a Kithkin, you're like, oh, it's like a funny named Hobbit, you know, when you look at one kind of thing, and when we read about them. It might take a minute for some of these creatures because they have strange names, but as soon as you take a look at the picture... or like read the type or something, you're like, oh, okay, that's what that is, you know?
Whereas if you ask someone what a Phyrexian is...
Yeah.
Aliens, xenomorph.
Yeah. Robot xenomorphs, too. It's like...
Robot xenomorphs is probably the most accurate description.
Yeah. Phyrexians are just... because they're too weird and varied, too. I mean, that's one of those things about them.
Well, yes and no. Like, Rise of Eldrazi and Eldritch Moon, those Eldrazi, maybe this is a little niche because it's Lovecraft, it's not as popular globally, but, you know, people can recognize Lovecraft when they see this flying spaghetti monster coming out and doing its thing, where they couldn't do it as well with the more concrete Battle for Zendikar ones that just look like Theros monsters with... No, just Theros monsters.
Oh, no, I agree. It's like, up until then, the Eldrazi had been sort of like a thing that as soon as you get, you know, the Shadows of that block in Eldritch Moon, where they show all the horrors, and it's like, oh, they went Lovecraft with Eldrazi. All right, cool. That kind of fits a lot with them now. They are kind of elder gods, but up until then you don't see it at all, really, because just the way they portrayed them as, like, things that drain the energy from the world and cause it to turn to waste.
And on a more fundamental level, when you see the ones from Rise and Eldritch Moon to a lesser extent, they are so far above you that the only hope you have is that they don't notice you. They are so much more powerful than anything that you can do. You can kill them, they'll keep coming back. They're also just freakishly huge and non-Euclidean, yada, yada, yada. But in Battle for Zendikar and Oath of the Gatewatch to a lesser extent, they were monsters that we're just going to gather everyone around and we're going to fight them. We're going to use our tactics. We're going to trap them. No, that ceases to be Lovecraftian anymore. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's a nice little rant maybe for another day, but...
No, yeah. Understandable. All right. But I do want to still move on because we have a couple more topics. Unset. The unset. Unstable, I believe it is.
Wait, what? This is actually my first time hearing about this.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Third unset. Yeah. He's been working on it since 2011, he says. And he says he's amazed that he kept it secret. He's kept it secret, and I guess it's also like the excitement that they actually were like, okay, go ahead, you can publish it. You know, it's like it has been, like, 2011, it's like 6 years. So he's had, like, at least 6 years of working on this set, and they're finally like, oh, we'll put it on the schedule for you. Go ahead, you know? Because I don't even remember how popular either of them were. I remember they were out, and I got some of them, but it's sort of like, I never played with any of them because they're just so jokey. I believe they're popular for cubes. Lots of people enjoy playing. But it's the same with the conspiracy sets. Everyone enjoys playing them in cubes also, so, you know.
Well, I think
it just gives more cube players are like, sweet, we get more cards for our cubes.
I think there was, like, only a couple of cards in all of them that I would say, like, if I'm not playing any kind of actual standard or legacy or anything, I would play with. Because I had a friend that had the Utaki Kong, Utabi, I'm butchering it so badly. He had it in ape deck.
Yeah.
He had an ape deck. You know, tap 2 apes, get another ape. It made sense. I told him he should have made his plan of the ape decks and had one human legend, his Charleston Heston. He never did it.
Okay, so I'm going to make some bingo cards. I'm actually going to put them on my channel or something. You make your own bingo sheet or something for Unstable Spoiler Season, where you get a free space in the middle, and then there are things like references to Ashnod's coupon, or something that interacts with Ashnod's coupon, or I don't know. Clam folk need to come back. That's the thing that needs to happen.
I think the only thing we've heard is that there will be squirrels. I thought I heard that.
Mm-hmm. Good. No, we need squirrels.
Yes.
It's an unsafe. It has to have squirrels in. It's like law.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I like a good squirrel card anyway. I mean, I think I have a deck with Squirrel Nest in it still, too, where you can tap a land, put a squirrel to play. Because it's just like, variety of token. Spice
we have
life.
Black Lotus. We have Blacker Lotus. Now we need the bigger Blacker Lotus.
Oh my god.
Little Cards Against Humanity there.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what they did. We only know it's of existence now, and we're quite a ways out. So I guess we're gonna have to wait till after Ixalan before seeing anything. But it sounds like, Jordan, you have to get going now.
Yes, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to get going.
So why don't you share any kind of links, any kind of things you want to share out, and then we'll try to finish out the little bits of the day we have to talk about with me and Jay.
Yep. So I'm Jordan. I'm from Team Orcshead Magic. We have a YouTube channel of Orcshead Magic. We do various booster box openings, deck techs, vlogs of PBTQs and FNMs that we go to, and various other things like that. You can also find me on Twitter, which is Orcshead Jordan. And if you go to me, you'll find all the rest of the lads who are all insane and crazy, just as me. And yeah, apart from that, guys, I'm also on Kitchen Table MTG. If you like to chat on there as well, we post topics and we have our own content creator section there as well. So yeah, check us out through all our various links.
Yep. Cool. All right. Great. Thank you for being on. Glad to be here. Maybe we can have you on again in another day in the future sometime or something.
Yep. Certainly. Yeah. We'll definitely do it again. Thank you very much for having me.
Sure.
Pleasure, gents, and signing off.
Yep. I'll just do that. Okay, I'm gonna have to readjust pictures. Let me just turn that one off because I don't need it. Yeah, see, it's the shame that Joe's not here, because then I would have had then we would have been still 3 people, but sadly, alas, I don't even know if he's awake yet. All right, but why don't we finish up though? Because we got pretty close to being finished up here with our topics. I think the last thing I wanted to talk about was for there's two quick things for Magic still. Is that looking good? Oh, now it's not. I'm gonna adjust that again. Okay, masterpiece changes. This is one that I liked, that they're not doing the masterpieces the same anymore. They're now going to fewer of them, and when they feel that they fit. I can get behind that. The fact is, like, as much as I think the masterpieces are cool, I as a collector, I have never looked to collect them because I can't afford that kind of thing. It's too expensive to get all those things and try to like buy them on their own or anything. So it's as the collector has always been for the masterpieces. If I get one, cool. If not, not gonna sweat it. I've kept to that pretty well. So
let me play the cynic for just a moment. There's a reason they're called not just masterpieces, but lottery cards, I think is a colloquial way of putting it. They're supposed to help you sell a set by giving people the chance to not just pull the regular good stuff they would get, tournament playable cards or whatnot, but also to have this lottery ticket, this chance at getting a much more valuable card. Well, then two things. If you print more of them, if you had them every time, then they'll be less valuable in general. But also, they lose the ability to sell a set the more times you have them. They're just less hype. People are more used to them. When Battle for Zendikar rolled around, it wasn't exactly, if you haven't gotten that already from what I've said, it wasn't exactly my favorite set. And I'm not the only one who shares that, but it helped, the expeditions helped to sell the set.
Yeah.
If you do it infrequently, worst case scenario, you can put them on sets that you think are going to undersell. So for example, we have a really powerful standard right now, as we can tell by the fact that cards keep getting banned left, right, and sideways.
Yes.
If you want to try to decrease the power in standard, one way to do it is to drop the power level off later on, like say for one or two sets, to try to tone it down a bit. Yeah. But if you drop the power level off, that creep you use to sell packs, pushing it's called, isn't there anymore. So you can use this to sort of alleviate the issue a bit. You know, you'll still buy these packs because there's a lottery ticket in them, even if the average power level of a card in that set or sets isn't all that great. So and that's worst case scenario. That's me being a cynic and making you know, oh, the set's not good enough and they know it, but they're just going to try to push it anyway. No, that's way further than I actually believe. But worst case scenario, you know,
yeah,
that's a way of looking at it. Yeah.
Well, it's a fine way of looking at it. No, the changes to their Masterpiece series, I think that they're not going to have it with everything is definitely a great idea. And again, you know, it made sense with Zendikar. I felt like the ones they did with Kaladesh fit very well, but then like the ones with Amonkhet and so far it's been like I didn't need it, and it looked really weird. It still looks really weird. The ones that they've shown off a few more. It looks really weird.
I can kind of see the Amonkhet ones. Remember that part of the issue with those, I shouldn't say the most notable, as if it's all of them. The ones that jumped out the most to me as a Legacy player were Days and Force of Will, which had just gotten reprints in Eternal Masters.
Yeah.
So yes, here's this more collectible version of it, but the value of those cards is lower now than they had been anyway, just because they just got a reprint. No, I agree with you. They certainly make less flavorful sense in Amonkhet and Hour of Devastation. Maybe as plagues or, I don't know, invoking the gods or something.
Yeah, they could have somehow done it right, but I think they went for a lot more style this time over substance, because they do such ridiculous card names.
Yeah.
Or card appearance, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I got you. And some people, I know personally, really like them. I don't, but that's just me, I guess. I don't know.
It's
not just...
Hey, look, I will forever associate it. It's Hezret the pervert because of it, because that's what it kind of looks like with the bad language. I'm sorry, someone started that. I can only see that now on that card now. I'm sorry, Hezret. You're pervert.
What am I supposed to say to that? Okay.
There is no response to that one. Why don't we move on, though? That's the proper response.
It right now? So what is the fan fiction going on?
No, I saw a picture of someone did, I can't remember, the cat god in a box, like there's like best god or something over on the box or something. And I think that was because, the one, they drew it in response to the one Magic cosplayer who had a picture of the cat goddess. She got in a box while she was dressed as the cat goddess. So now there's a small, the most adorable picture of the little like cat goddess sticking out of a box with on the box says best god.
And if you close the box, then it's Schrodinger's cat goddess.
Oh my god, it's Schrodinger's cat goddess. Look, I think this is the same artist that brought us Sir Papard, which is it's the Sir Papard with like a top hat monocle and some gray poupon. I should share that picture again. I forget who gave it, but I would want to reference them correctly if I would share it again, if I could, find it. But anyway, let's move on. Last one for Magic. 25th Anniversary Masters.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
25th Anniversary Masters.
Oh, okay.
So we have Modern Masters 2017. We have Iconic Masters, which I have now heard Iconic Masters, because apparently they have a big theme in the back of the year, is also going to be based upon iconic creature types. So, okay, so it's a little bit of like classic tribal maybe there, with like angels, dragons, demons, kind of things like that. Okay, good for you, Iconic Masters. I understand what you're trying to do. They're also doing, which they're claiming they're not going to do after these two. They're going to go back to one Master Series a year. I'll believe it when I see it. They're going to do a 25th Anniversary Masters with cards from every set up until now. They're saying they're going to do.
All right.
And that's going to be early next year. Again,
yeah.
I think this one, like, I couldn't quite defend Iconic Masters very well, is the thing about it, After Modern Masters, it was hard to defend, because the Modern Masters series, it's cool, but it's so expensive. And I feel it's way too expensive than it needs to be, because I think someone argued it properly. Just because you're reprinting a card doesn't mean the old card is going to lose money, because it's still only so many of those older cards.
It's the Tarmogoyf issue, right?
Yeah.
So Tarmogoyf gets reprinted in a master set, but the print run is so low that it doesn't tank the price.
That's what they're hoping on, and I get it. The thing is, they don't prove that works like that anyway. It's like, will it tank the price? I don't know, maybe, but they're keeping it at such a high price for like things like this, and it's too ridiculous. But I've been arguing against Modern Masters because of that a little bit, just because of this. But to get not to digress too much on my complaints about it there, because I have plenty of them. Iconic Masters, because Iconic Masters. Yeah, okay. What are we gonna say about it?
Go on.
I was gonna say, because Iconic Masters, it sounds like they're not necessarily just printing from Modern. I felt a little better about it, and I don't know the exact. They're still keeping it at the same price as Modern Masters, which kind of hurts me in my soul. And I'm going to say they're probably going to do the same thing for the Anniversary. I'm going to guess it. The Anniversary Master Series. I'm sure they'll keep it up at the the $10 range or something like that. It's ridiculous.
I understand why they do that. If they make it cheap enough, if they make it cheap enough and it's a limited set, they'll sell out of it too quickly, and then people won't be happy about that. If they make it expensive but unlimited, they'll have a lot of surplus stock.
Yeah.
If they meet it this way, there will be enough that people can. I drafted Modern Masters 1 time because of the price. I loved it. I got to draft Dredge, but I only got to do it one time for that reason.
Yeah.
But everyone, not everyone, plenty of people will get the chance to do it that one time.
Yeah.
Without it being the price on these more expensive cards, like the Tarmogoyfs or Cryptic Commands, etc. of the world. Fetch lands.
Again, it's like there is definitely been I've seen some arguments, definitely against them, the way they've been protecting their prices, being like they're not reprinting things, and that necessarily doesn't work or does work. It's like it's an interesting argument as if that actually helps keep the price or not. I think it's like if the card's good enough, it's going to be expensive anyway. And
there are some factors that we haven't mentioned just yet, like if it has a different art, that might help to keep the price up because people might value it for that art. So with Tarmogoyf, for instance, it got flavor text and what was it? Don't tell me. What doesn't grow dies, and what dies grows. The Tarmogoyf. Some of my favorite flavor text in the game. Maybe that helped to keep the price higher than it would have been if it were just the same ugly art of him just nom-nomming or about to nom-nom.
Yeah.
I was halfway expecting for Modern Master for 25th Master. What is it called? 25th Anniversary Masters.
Yeah, it's like 25th Masters, like 25.
Tournament.
I'm gonna try to find the actual title because that's all I know it as. It's Masters 25.
Like 25 or something.
Yeah,
because they done from the Vault 20, and there were some cards from there that they could have printed but didn't. For example, Old Ravnica, they printed Char instead of Lightning Helix.
Yeah.
They had a chance to print Lightning Helix. The famous scene of him, what's on the top, and then he flipped Lightning Helix. Mm-hmm. But they printed Char. I know it was in the scene too, but Helix is the one that everyone jumped up and yelled and screamed for.
Yeah, the Masters series has always been this, like, weird conundrum for me in my mind. Just, like, because beyond playing Magic, I am an avid collector of Magic. I like to try to collect as much as I can of the sets and stuff. So it's like these Masters series kind of hurt me a little bit. Because almost it's gotten to the point where I haven't gotten the last two of them because I know I don't have the money for them right now. But when I want to start actually collecting them, it's probably going to be cheaper for me just to buy them all than to try to get packs. Like normally when it comes to like a like block or something or a set, I like to get a box aft anyway because I'll make a deck for it. I never play standard, but I have I always do tend to have a standard deck or at least a block deck that if like someone's saying like, oh, we're going to go play a Scars tournament or something that's, it's a classic one. I could be like, I got a Scars deck. I can pull it out, block, I got it ready, things like that. I got a Return of Ravinica deck, ready, I can pull it out. I got these things, and again, my own sensibilities for building them, but that's besides the point, but...
That's fair. That's actually a good point. It's something I've heard referred to as the Yu-Gi-Oh problem, which is, you remember Yu-Gi-Oh, basically, they have sealed now, finally, but they don't have anything else for limited, so you either buy the packs to get the card, or you buy them as singles, you buy them individually.
Yeah.
But there are so few cards at the common rarity that are worth anything 99% of the time that you're incentivized to just buy the card as a single. Yeah. And then the company loses sales on the packs for that. Once you get to that point where it's cheaper to buy the singles, that's not where the company wants to be. And that's a good point to bring up, man.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems with this entire set, because I think I got one box of the original, and I got really lucky on it because I got Tarmogoyf and Verdalian Click, which I think there was one other one that was really expensive in that one. It was the I can't remember. There was another one that was like around 60 at the time for the original Modern Masters, which I didn't get, but I was like,
wait, was Vendilion Click in the first Modern Masters?
Yeah, Vermilion Click.
I think Vendilion didn't come out until the second one with that new art of the three bug-eyed looking at you.
It had the original art, I think, in the first Modern Masters. Let me check this here.
Maybe.
Modern Masters, the original.
Well, in either case, I certainly see your point.
Yeah.
As a collector, to the extent that you're a collector, you'd rather them not print. Like I'm pretty much wholly a player at this point. I had to sell my collection for some personal reasons I won't get into now, but at this point, I'm pretty much wholly a player. So I can understand the want to have these cards printed enough that one day I might be able to get them back.
Yeah.
The other hand, there was a time when I used to own, at least one of every dual land, for instance.
Yeah.
Except like one. I never owned a scrub land because I'm not a scrub, and I had to. Yeah, and I can certainly see why people that have those appreciate the reserve list, the no reprint list. As a player, I'm not a big fan, but once I have those cards, I'm sure that my investment, unless somehow everyone forgets about Magic and doesn't play it anymore, my investment will keep going up.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the window. I'm going to be right back.
Okay.
Yeah, just a sec.
Huh.
Hey, there we go.
Yes. Vermilion Click was printed in the original Masters. It got its new art in the 2015.
Okay, so thank you. Sorry about that.
It was fine. No. I couldn't remember myself. And I think it was it Dark Confident was the other one. Those are the three big expensive ones in the original.
Really?
Yeah. I got the Tarmoff and I got the Vermilion Click. I didn't get the Dark Confident. I think those were the three big, really expensive ones in the original Modern Masters, and I was like, I got lucky, I'm done. That was kind of my feeling at the time. It's like... But I got a box of that, and it was, like, so hard to get that box of that. I was like, oh my god, this hurt. It hurt so much to buy it, too. It was so expensive. But that's one of the reasons why it's like these Masters kind of hurt me a lot, too. It's like... And it's good cards, but sometimes some of the cards, it's like... I don't know if it's worth it to get the $9 ones where... I have a little chance when, like a doubling season. They're like maybe 20 or something. Like, you get one for like 20, I think. 20 or 30.
Wow.
20 or 30, I think it is. So instead of getting a $10 pack and hoping to get it, I have to check the price now. It might have gone up since then. I don't know. Back when it came out, I remember the first Modern Masters, I could get for I think I could get it for 25 if I really wanted it in okay condition. Like used,
I need to pick one up for a Traxxas Super Friend then. If it's down that low, I need to pick one up.
It had been at the time, but again, it might have gone up because I think that was around the time that Innistrad came out, and didn't they have like a kind of version? They had like a lesser doubling season, which might have hit its price.
Oh yeah, it was Parallel Lives, I think.
Yeah,
the one that doesn't copy the counters, but does make it does double the tokens.
Yeah,
for one less.
Okay. It appears to be back up there in price right now. So, unfortunately, the Ravinica one, you could probably buy it around 35 right now, if you really wanted to. Again, the market's up around 60, but, that rarely happens that someone can actually sell it at that price anyway, so...
Gotcha.
But... Yeah, it was down a little lower at the time, and I don't know if I've got original doubling season. I've got a doubling season, at least one of. I can't remember where I put it. One of my decks has it. But going beyond,
great card.
But going beyond that, that's like one of those cards that was in there that I'm like, okay, this is really worth it. And then you have other good ones, but they weren't like so good that I'd be like, I'm looking out of my way to get them, or I already don't have them is the problem too, like in my decks. That I haven't gotten a lot of them. So, I mean, that's what... It's been a little, like, kind of mixed bag for me when it comes to the Modern Master series that way, too. Because, again, it's, like, not that I don't mind a good reprint, and not that I couldn't find places for a lot of cards for them. It's just that there are some cards that I have, like, a specific deck where I could feel like it would work in, and after that, it's like, well, have it then.
I already got mine, yeah.
Like, Ether Swarm Canonist. I already have an Artifact deck. I don't need a second one, It was about the original Modern.
It's Legacy, though, right?
Yeah.
see some sideboard play, like Death and Taxes, for instance.
Yeah. I haven't done a lot of actual enough tournament play with my legacy decks to have sideboard prepared, is the problem. And theoretically, none of them are complete is the other thing, because I always update them with new sets. That's the thing, is I'm constantly updating and evolving them. So it's sort of like, ooh, new stuff. What could I put in? What could I replace that's better? Oh, that might be better to put in here, So, but...
Okay.
But yeah, so...
Go on.
What I was going to say, what are your kind of thoughts here on the Master Series, now that I've kind of ranted a little bit about it on my own?
Yeah, like I said, I would have been expecting a From the Vault 25 or something like that before a Masters, because we've already had 3 Modern Masters and an Eternal Masters. So, correct me if I'm wrong, help me out. Is From the Vault, that's a yearly product, right?
From the Vault is a yearly, and I think they're having a From the Vault, but I just wasn't going to bother talking about the From the Vault or the dual decks, because those keep coming out, and they're cool. I wasn't going to hit on them right now, The From the Vault, I always feel like they're, alternate art usually, all foil, they look cool. It's the kind of thing that I've only gotten one of them. I got the Annihilation one. And I got lucky on getting that one. So I got to a place and I had one copy of it, and I'm like, I can afford that.
Well, there is one quick thing I want to talk about, because the announcement for this coming from the Vault is From the Vault Transform.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And that's going to be interesting for a number of reasons. If they're being literal about it, if it's just the actual mechanic transform, not figurative, where we're including like flipping cards, for instance, like from coming up. If we're just looking at transform, that's not exactly that crowded a field. We have Innistrad block, new Innistrad block,
and Origins.
We have Origins. And as far as I'm remembering, and maybe there's some Commander product that has transform on it that I'm just not thinking off the top of my head.
There might be. I can't remember. Yeah.
If they're being literal about it, that's not very much. If they're being figurative, they can include, for example, there's the card that's banned in EDH that flips into counter the first spell your opponent plays, Ascendant of Soratami, or something to that effect, something like that.
Yeah.
So there's one. Or if we're being even more figurative, Figure of Destiny transforms into a Super Saiyan. It transforms into like an 8/8 flying first strike avatar, yada yada yada. Maybe there's some more added onto that as well.
No, I could see them doing some interesting things with because they're calling them double face cards. I could see them. Yeah. Well, the thing is though, I could see them updating things like the Kamigawa flip cards and making them more modern flip cards. Because really, all they were is the exact same thing, except rather than flipping them over, you turned them around. It really was. It was the same mechanic except more confusing.
I would like to see them treated as, now maybe for some players you would have like the Shroud Hexproof issue where they kept thinking that Shroud was the same thing as Hexproof and they're not.
Yeah.
If it's a flip card and you turn it over, they might think it's a transform. I don't know how that would actually make a difference, but maybe there's some cards that, well, there are some cards that care about transforming. I don't know about flipping.
Yeah.
And when someone, yeah.
I don't think the Kamigawa block really cared like what it was called. It was always like you flipped it around and that was it kind of thing, And they never flipped back anyway. So I could see them maybe doing that, or as you're saying, the I'm forgetting its name now because I'm bad with that. The Figure of Destiny. I could see them maybe like if you max it out, you flip it over or something cool. So I could see them doing something unique with some of them, and I can only hope they have, because yes, as you're right, there really isn't a lot of actual flip cards that exist, So maybe having some creativity with it or something. Or, oh god, I just thought of a really awesome one, which I don't know if they would do.
If you're thinking of the same one I'm thinking of, high five through the camera.
Possible high five.
So he did.
Okay, I just thought of Dark Depths.
That's not the same, but that's awesome. I can
flip it over to Merit Lage, Have rather than having a token, flip it over to the token kind of thing, That's
one of my favorite unsung characters in the story. Oh yeah. I'm sorry, what were you about to say?
I was gonna let you say it next. Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking of the lighthouse chronologist as a non-literal transform. The one that lets you take more turns after an opponent takes a turn. Take a turn.
Oh my god, I love lighthouse chronologist. It's in my blue legacy deck, and as soon as I start multiplayer and I get him leveled up, people are like, "Oh my god, please stop taking turns." I'm like, no. I will either do something to destroy your decks completely, or if it never comes about, I'll just instead pull out Laboratory Maniac and draw out my entire deck.
Yep. Yep.
Or I have the Kamigawa flip guy that when he flips over, you can tap him, and target player draws cards equal to cards in your hand. And since I've got Reliquary Tower out, and I've got like 30 cards, I could do that over multiple turns and be like, draw 20 cards, draw another 20 cards, draw 20 cards. Are you out of cards? Oh no, tears. I'm fine with this many cards in my hand.
Very nice. I have Maniac. I don't care.
If I ever draw out, I have Maniac. Otherwise, I could just have you draw all the cards in the world, and I could just sit here and control you. Or denying wind. I can keep cycling back in the deck, but that's just
Yeah. So of the Laboratory Maniac decks that are you said that was an EDH idea, or was that a legacy?
That was my legacy deck. I had it in there. That one.
Okay. So I know Oopsal spells can run Laboratory Maniac. I know Fluctuator can run Laboratory Maniac as its win condition. I want to try this out just for the lull. Just for that one time it ever happened. Well, I need a multiplayer legacy deck anyway. A lot of legacy decks break down when you try to play them in multiplayer.
That's why I would never go to a legacy tournament, because all of mine are specifically built because I so many I don't play as much anymore. But normally when it's like playing, it's like a group of 3 or 4 of us and we're like, hey, let's play some Magic, and then it's a multiplayer game right then and there. So it's like when I designed all my decks originally, which they've gotten pretty gross and powerful since like my original designs, I thought, I was prepared for multiplayer.
There you go.
So...
Hey, that's wrong with that.
Nope. I think a few of them I feel like would actually be quick enough to work in probably tournament faction, but only a few of them. So, but
probably not the one, I'm afraid. Probably not.
There are certain ones. There's certain decks I have that I know I could not play anywhere. My black-red deck I know is not tournament legal in any standard of the way because it's got a play set of strip mines. I couldn't help it. It's a land. It's a land and creature destruction deck. I specifically made I destroy everything you love deck. So.
Are you that guy that plays Vintage and has like the Crucible strip mine thing going on?
Oh, I didn't have Crucible in there. I didn't put that. I was nice enough not to. But I could have, but I didn't need to. The strip mines were sheerly for like in case I needed them, just in case it's like, oh, you got an extra land. Well, just in case. That was the point.
Why not?
It was,
and I'll bet you
I own a lot of them because I had alliances. I have a bunch of them, so I might as well play them. And no, I know that deck I couldn't play anywhere ever, and I don't play it a lot because people hate it anyway.
And isn't strip mine because of Commander kind of cheap now, like relatively speaking?
Oh, it might be. I don't know. It might be because I know it was just banned in. I can't remember Legacy or Vintage. Which one's banned and which one's
it's restricted.
Yeah, it's restricted one, banned in the other. And it's like I think like most of my decks qualify as I think Legacy, Legacy has the more restrict bans, and Vintage has more restrictions.
So Vintage doesn't ban a card unless it literally does not work in the format. Like
Chaos
Sword,
yeah,
you have to flip it.
Yeah, that's why I do have a couple of Vintage decks too because of Demonic Tutor. Only because I own a Unlimited and a Revised one, and I had no excuse not to throw them in decks.
Yeah, in Legacy, if you want to play Demonic Tutor, you have to also play Black Lotus, Lion's Eye Diamond, and Infernal Tutor.
I think I got the Lion's Eye Diamond. I've got the Infernal Tutor. I don't have a Black Lotus. My brother owned one back in the day, but
like when they're separate, they're not so good. But put them together, and it's two powerful pieces.
God,
yeah, but powers combined.
God, no, but I think we're walking away a lot of the time. Let's go back on a little bit on topic. So we were talking about Masters, and you were talking a little bit about From the Vault and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was my take / segue, I suppose.
Yeah. But the thing about From the Vault I'm going to say about it also is it's $35 for 15 cards like that. Now, it will probably jack up in price pretty quickly. We're not going to deny that. But the base price, $35. And that's why I don't mind the From the Vault products in comparison to the Masters products, because expensive as they're going to get, at least it starts out cheaper if you can manage to somehow get it in that early days, which is so insane, hard to do. But
one reason I like From the Vault as well, you don't see them in your big box stores. Depending on where you live, you might have like a Walmart or a Target or whatever. You don't see them there. It's LGS's only. It's brick and mortar only.
Yeah.
So that's a good way for them to help support the stores, which I like that because, you know, that's where I play.
Yeah, I have a great place that I get a lot of my stuff from nearby to me. He has great deals on Magic. He sells them technically, cough, 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 slightly cheaper than the average because he gets them at a good deal. Just saying.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, before you had one other thing you wanted to go on about, which was a role-playing set, right?
I did. Why don't we handle that quickly so we can finish up hopefully by 3? Because normally I try to end by 2:33, and we've been going on about Magic a lot.
Yeah.
I did want to talk a little bit about Midland Chronicles, which it didn't work. Dang it. I'm going to have to try to redo it again. I tried to download the free thing they had for it, but apparently it's not working on my system right now. Because it hates me.
You have to film as well as the audience in on Midland Chronicles.
So Midland Chronicles. It's a new fantasy RPG. It mixes high fantasy elements with some supernatural horror. So they describe it for themselves. Tolkien meets Lovecraft. That's the basic way that they describe it, which is not a bad way of describing things. It has its own combat system, which they call the D20 system. So again, the free copy, which I tried to download, apparently didn't work. So I can't guarantee you what the system is right now, because I tried to. And it has 10 playable races, 24 classes, and it's got the full book or the free book. Let me see if I can quickly get this again, because it hates me. But so I think this is a very interesting one because, again, it's a mixture of stuff that definitely is a little different. Lovecraft meets Tolkien. I like that a little bit. Because Lovecraft, when you think about it, usually it's very... I feel that's a lot more steampunk almost. It's like that era. It's Victorian / steampunk. A lot of the feeling of some of like the products people put out with, you know. It's really supposed to be, you know, tentacle creatures from beyond the stars that people deal with. Oh God, then it opens finally.
I see what you're saying. They seem to both take place at about that era because of when H.P. Lovecraft himself was alive.
Yeah.
But Lovecraft was very much not he was very much let's say, an advocate for abounding science or the bounds of science.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens when science goes too far. This is as far as science can go anyway. But yeah, they both seem to take place at around that time. A lot of his writing was done in the 20s and 30s, after all.
Okay, so it seems like, because I finally got the free system to work. It takes a little bit on the initial way that they build stuff from Pathfinder. If you're familiar with Pathfinder at all, Pathfinder, which is basically a extension of D&D 3.0. Now
how I like to think of Pathfinder.
Yeah, 3.75. So they've got hit points. They have an MP score, mind points. So that's a little different. It does have races and classes, levels, experience. Got the classic attributes for D&D / Pathfinder. You roll skills using 2d20s. It's got its hero points, which is an optional rule from Pathfinder, which they're introducing to a lesser degree. Saves, which it's got resistance, will, and alert for 3 saves. Okay. Initiative and attack system. Without getting into it, and weapons have dice damage dice categories, and there's a fear system. So it seems like it's a adaptation of the basic like D20 systems on its own a little bit, which is not a bad thing. You know, it's a system that people are very familiar with D20 systems now. So adapting something and coming up with like little bits of it that are on your own.
Sure.
Looks like a lot of... They only introduce in the free thing 4 of the classic races. It's 4 races, and it's the classic ones. Elf, Dwarf, Halfling, Human. They have... Oh, they have for classes, Cleric, Elemental, Mage, Hunter, Thief, and Warrior introduced in the book. And of course, the big thing will have a lot less free... We'll have more stuff. This is like the free version I'm going over. You know, and so... interesting.
Does it describe any of the mechanics, like fear or MP, as being a sanity system? Or if you're familiar with sanity system games?
A little bit. I haven't played an actual game of Call of Cthulhu enough to really be... I've heard about it from people that have played it, but it's secondhand. You know, I haven't experienced it myself. MP represents mental resistance to mental damage. Okay, so yes, you can take mental damage. You can take mental and physical damage. Mental damage is modified by wisdom, while its hit points are modified by constitution. A fear system. A characteristic feature of the system is a chance to suffer psychological damage due to situations of great stress and encounters. In the case, PCs must roll a successful will saving throw or roll 2d20 on the table of fear and consult the results. In some extreme cases, you lose your life to fear. All right. Let's see if I can find that fear table.
Yeah.
Man. No, this is very interesting. Basic equipment.
That may be the wrong reaction. You lose your life to fear, and then I start laughing. No. What I mean is that I like systems like those because they add that extra layer of depth to a role game.
Well, no, that's...
It's much... Yeah, it makes it... I don't know, sometimes I like playing games where I am my character, and sometimes I like playing a game where I very much appreciate that there is a layer between myself and my character for different types of experiences. And having to deal with fears that are not just unknown, but unknowable is one of them.
Okay.
It helps to make it... Yeah.
So monsters have morale. Cool. So they're bringing back a morale system. And already I can see, just for quickly, zombies have a terror. Which I like that there. It makes them a little more, you know, mean. Because you have to worry about a terror result.
You have to worry about worrying.
You have to worry. You have to worry about worrying. Okay, God, where the heck is it? I can't find the tarot table very quickly, so whatever, I'm bad at this.
Your zombie has frightful presence.
Yeah, everything apparently has frightful presence because kick to the junk.
Why not?
I know, really.
It does make sense, at least, I suppose.
It's like makes sense, you know, certain things you're like, well, that wouldn't be very scary, but like you're like other things you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense that would be, you know, filling me with fear and possibly killing me. Okay, yeah, I got you.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay, go ahead.
It is Tolkien, so if this were Call of Cthulhu in a modern or more or less modern setting, it would make more sense for everything to have terror or frightful presence. Tacked onto it because you have no experience with this anyway. If it's Tolkien meets Lovecraft, I wonder to what extent. Like if it's the Shire, yeah, probably same thing.
Yeah, it looked like certain monsters, like because they had a bunch of common monsters like goblins and ogres and stuff. You don't get terrors from them because they're horrible monsters. You know, they're something that's probably going to kill you, but they're not something you're afraid of. By something like the zombie, you know, it's like, oh my God, it's the living dead kind of thing. You know, it's not something. We're experienced with other savage races, and maybe probably a couple of monsters might instill terror too. You know, certain things. I feel like it definitely, because they break it down. It's breaking it down interestingly enough, and it does look like their skill. They have a skill / feat system, which looks a little different from other systems. So I'm not going to dive into it too much. but they do have their own unique system for like how the classes level and stuff. It looks like, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd like to look into that at some point. I was the kind of person, we had a D&D radio show over at the University of Georgia for 4 stinking years. Beautiful, beautiful time. And it was D&D 3.5. I was one of those people that would min-max my character to all living heck. So more than 100 pages of just tables of feats, and I would try to put them together in whatever combination I could to make the most broken character I could. So I'm the kind of person that just give me a day or 2 or 10, and I'll see if I can, delve. If it's deep enough yet. If it's this new, maybe it doesn't have enough supplementals.
Yeah, because it's just got the first book out right now. So, I mean, that's definitely one of those things that I can understand how we only have the basics right now. So.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there, though.
Yeah.
If the game takes off.
It does look like an interesting game. So. All right. Why don't we move on, though? Because Midland Chronicles is definitely something to check out in the future a little bit more. Why don't we move on, though, to Stories from the Table, just so we can sort of finish this up. So this is the segment at the end of towards the end of the show, where I take all my guests and I like to have them share some kind of stories from the tabletop universe. This can be a role-playing game with a cool character. It could be a Magic deck. It could be a game of Magic that went like ridiculously epic, or as I always say, which I've yet to get someone to get me on, like a session of a board game that went like ridiculously cool, or something happened and it was awesome. Someday I'll get someone to give me that one. We don't remember those as well, though. I think
Oh, I could go on. If you have me on again, just block off a lot of.
Love to have you on again. I love to have repeat guests.
Okay, so I'll start with an easy one that happened just recently. Then,
okay.
No, not quite board games, but I was playing Uno with my family, mom, dad, sister, myself, and we had this house rule for the night, which was whoever's the dealer, they get to come up with a house rule that only applies to that game. And so for my games, one of them was, you're familiar with the looting mechanic for Magic, draw then discard.
Yeah.
If you would draw a card, then instead you may, like if you would draw a card from the deck, not if someone hits you with a draw 2 or a draw 4, but just a regular one. You may instead draw 2 and then discard 1 to the top of the pile, and that's the new card to go on there. So the top card of the pile will always change every turn because of this rule, which makes the game interesting, I suppose. And then the other one was, if I could remember it, I think it was cycling, if I remember correctly. Like instead you may. How did I word that? Because if you just simply discarded and drew a card, that would be way too broken for Uno, because you would stay at one card potentially forever until you found it. I had some other way around that, but I don't remember what it was. Like, I don't know. I'll think of it later on. I'll just say it in the next show, or then at the end of this. Wait, don't go away, man!
Yeah, it sounds like okay.
Over at one of the student-run radio stations at the University of Georgia, WUOG, that's where I ran a D&D radio show. I thought of it as a radio drama, more so. It was called Parties and Parodies, so Dungeons & Dragons, Parties and Parodies, yeah. It was way less focused on the mechanics of the game, because it's radio. You've heard the expression, you don't do math on TV. Yeah. Well, you don't do math on radio either. So yes, there was dice rolling, for instance, but we kept it to a minimum. That's not usually the kind of thing. If you do too much, you can lose people. Yeah. But it was pretty much wholly improv. There was a general line I asked people to go, but that was about it. And so we started with just the vanilla Greyhawk campaign setting. And by the time we were done, we had one season where we were in the real world. One season where the universe was completely rewritten. The big bad of the series, big bads were not Asmodeus, the demon dude, but Tharizdun, if you're familiar with that, Elder Elemental Eye.
Yes, okay.
Yes, okay. So he ended up being the big bad for the whole show. god of chaos and destruction and seeker of magic and yada 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 yada. A god that was so evil that all the other gods, including the bad gods, evil ones, aligned against him, couldn't kill him, imprisoned him. Some idiocy on our part got him free, then we ended up trapping him again. Then he gets free, then we end up trapping him again. And for a little while, it goes like a children's like a Saturday morning cartoon. The bad guy strikes again. Oh, we stopped the bad guy again. That's your week. Eventually, he wins. Spoiler alert. Eventually, he wins, and everything has to get rewritten. And I liked it. I loved it. We were on for 8 seasons, which is 4 years. So a season was a semester there. So pretty much the whole time that I was at the University of Georgia, I was running that. It was the coolest thing, and I loved it. And I met a lot of people, had a lot of fun. We even had Evangeline on that too, but of course she was much younger then. So it was say hi. Okay. Or just whatever sound she made at the moment.
Aww.
Okay, so that was a lot of fun.
Yep, cool.
For Magic, sneak preview of something I'm going to do on my channel. I'll show you something I ended up coming up with. And this is kind of Magic related, but kind of not. You'll see what I mean. Mm-hmm. I came up with, there's a show that my daughter likes to watch called Sarah and Duck. It's a BBC show. 7-year-old character and her duck go around having imaginative quests and yada yada. They just having fun, little kids. They play a game in there called Same Breads, which is, if you're familiar with slaps with playing cards, it's basically that. Except replace the numbers and suits with bread, different kinds of breads, croissants and bagels and whatever. So I did that with birds. So here's the dove from Born of the Gods. Here's the falcon from Return to Ravnica. Here is the eagle from Born of the Gods. Here's the swan from Theros. To that for a second. And then my personal favorite, here's the dang it, it's somewhere in Lorem Block. It's a Eventide. Yeah, Eventide. Owl. Yeah, there we go. So, we play some simple games with these. Like, for example, I'll have like just the dove and the owl, and if I ever set 2 of the same one down, she's supposed to slap it. And she can do that. I still don't know if she's smart enough yet to just do that on her own, or if she does it because of the pause, because of the wait, where I'm like, can you do it? I don't actually say that, but, holding still for a bit. Or, for example, you put them all on a sheet, and you put another sheet on top of that, turn it over, and now you have a game of memory. See if she can remember where the owls are, etc. There are 60 of these. If you ever want to try them out, by all means, you have my blessing. I'll do a video on that at some point of all the different games we can play with them. There's Go Fish, of course, but I don't think she's ready for Go Fish yet. One of these days, but not yet. And maybe there's some other games people can give some ideas about.
No, it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Why don't we finish up? No, actually, we're running a little late. So why don't I skip out in gaming stage advice for this week? I do like to have it. Unless you have a really great question. Unless you'd have a really great question or something for me, then maybe I do it.
Off the top of my head is the trick. Oh
yeah. Sure.
I'll know for next time.
Yeah. If you get me one for next time, I've got some I can have for next time too. Just because we haven't had a long episode today. So, all right. Thank you everybody for listening. Why don't Jay? Thank you for being here. Joe, sorry you're not here. I left the space open for you because you're in my heart always, buddy. We can thank Jordon for being here. Jay, why don't you support anything that you have? Up your channel and stuff like that, or.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I am T1 Glycerelf on YouTube. T1 is in turn 1, and Glycerelf as in my absolute favorite card in Magic by quite a substantial. Oh yeah, I had to sell mine. Well, so much for that. I've lost my icon. All right. So T1 Glycerelf on YouTube. We do gameplay mostly. A lot of it featuring me, but others as well. Deck techs, other games. And you may see Evangeline on there every now and then. She's cute as can be. You may see her. I'd wager you would.
See, like, if my brother was around, you might see my icon, which is Streamcat, which is my brother's cat, which, you know, when is allowed to wander the household, you know, will bother me while I'm streaming. Always. So, Streamcat.
Oh,
it's not as cute. It's not as cute, I have to say, as that, you know. Sorry, you win on this one. As much as Streamcat is wonderful, Streamcat, you know, is just a cat.
Yeah. Oh. Well, but it's a cat, and that's all that matters.
It's an icon. It's an icon of the stream that happens occasionally. You know, people will sometimes expect Streamcat. But all right, so I guess since no one's here to promote anything, Joe's not here to promote me, so I'll promote me. Tomorrow should be Treasure of the Lost Legion, 4 o'clock. My D&D Spelljammer 5th edition stream show. I should be back for a live stream. Sorry for those people that were expecting me on Thursday. Sorry I didn't send anything on Twitter. Things got crazy on Thursday, and I just haven't responded to, like, the existence that I didn't stream then. But so you should see me Sunday night. Videos should be sort of continue coming out on the YouTube channel as normal. Links to everything are in my description there, as usual, down here, on my Twitter, on my YouTube. You can find them all. So, yep. And hopefully, Jay, we can have you here again another time. Possibly. We'll see. Sounds like Jordon might want to show.
I loved it, man.
Yeah, this is fun.
Anytime you need me.
Oh, no, this was a great week, too, because there was, like, so much magic stuff going on. It was like, I was glad to get people that I could talk about it with, especially when Joe canceled. It was like, oh, God, what am I going to do? It's going to just be me talking by myself about nothing for, like, 2 hours.
Do you have... You play D&D a lot. Do you have, like, alter egos you could bounce back and forth with?
Oh, God, I could come up with something, but it would be terrible. It would be terrible. It'd be terrible. It would be silly, but I could probably come up with something.
Fair enough.
All right, so I guess we will all see you hopefully again another time, and hopefully next week for more Discussing Tabletop. We got some other great guests lined up, but until then, bye everyone.
Bye-bye.